I'm Joel,
And I'm Andrene.
and you are listening to Rewind Rewatch, a 90s movies podcast. Welcome back, Rewinders, to another episode of the Rewind Rewatch podcast, where my sister and I discuss 90s movies to talk about our thoughts on the film themselves, how well they've aged, any things that did not age well. And at the end of each episode, we give the movie a rewind rating from 1 to 5 based on how rewatchable we believe the movie to be in 2026 or whatever year it is. This year, for the current year is 2026.
Right.
So today we are going to be discussing the film Election from 1999. And for those of you who are not as familiar with the podcast, obviously this is a 90s movie podcast from movies from 1990 to 1999. We also have a Patreon where we cover movies from the late 80s and the early 2000s. So if you're interested in any of those films, sign up. It's only $5 a month. So, Election was requested by some of our listeners.
All right. So before I talk about who requested this film,
Okay.
I have to give a little bit of, backstory. So for me, this is my first time watching this movie.
Okay.
And I went into it thinking this is a high school, some kind of election goes on. That's really all I know is a high school and some kind of election.
Both those things are true.
So I'm very unsuspecting.
Yep.
And then 10 minutes into the movie, it gets absolutely out of control. My mouth is agape. And I'm like, what exactly am I watching? And so at that moment, I went back to see who are the messy people who requested this film. Because I wanted to know.
Okay.
Who did this?
So we're calling them messy out the gate.
Yes.
Okay.
So the number one messy person who requested this is Thwip Stickers out of Georgia.
Okay. All right.
Which
Shout out to Thwip Stickers. Messy man number one.
The second messy person is Ruby Rube, Rubik's Cube.
Rubik's Cube.
Out of Texas.
Shout out to Rubik's Cube. And
the third messy person is Megan out of DC.
Shout out to Megan, messy number 3. So, you called the movie messy. You said your mouth was agape within the first 10 minutes. So, now I'm very interested to hear how you would summarize this movie in one sentence. So, what is your one sentence summary for Election?
A high school student a high school principal rigs a school student body election in an attempt to snub an overachieving student.
Yeah. So the teacher is played by Matthew Broderick, who of course is famous for Ferris Bueller's Day Off.
Mm-hmm.
And the overachieving student is played by Reese Witherspoon, who we've seen a few times already on this podcast. We covered her in the movie Fear.
Mm-hmm.
We covered her movie Cruel Intentions.
Right.
Was there anything else?
No, I believe it's just those two.
Okay. I also noticed as the movie started that it was produced by MTV Films.
Yeah.
Which was a thing once upon a time. And so I was looking to see what other movies were produced or distributed by MTV Films. And there are a few movies. This is one of the first because their first movie was some movie called Joe's Apartment in 1996. They also had the Beavis and Butthead movie in 96.
Mm-hmm.
They did Varsity Blues in 99. This movie was 99. The Wood was also 1999. Kings of Comedy, Save the Last Dance, Pootie Tang, Jackass the movie, Tupac Resurrection, Napoleon Dynamite, Hustle and Flow. There's a lot.
Mm-hmm.
But looking at this list, I don't think we've covered any of them thus far. So this is our first MTV film.
Yeah. All right. Since we're talking about, production and all that, it was directed by Alexander Payne, who also did the film Downsizing as well as The Holdovers that came out in 23. And I think I'll wait till I get to the end to talk more about Alexander Payne and his motivation behind this film because there's some funny things that come up.
I'm scared to hear what his motivations were.
I also want to give a shout out to Chris Klein, who we also covered in our
right.
American Pie episode. He plays the episode of Paul Metzler. So let's just jump into this, shall we?
Yeah, because you watched the movie before I did, and I'll preface this by saying that neither of us had seen this movie before. So we're both going into it blind. And I watched it really actually just this morning. And when I texted you to be like, hey, I haven't seen it yet, I'm going to watch it before we record. And you said, buckle up. So I'm like, buckle up. Like, what is about to happen? So I was already a little like tipped off that this was not going to be your normal high school election film. But what was it that made your mouth ajar at the beginning of the film?
The buckle up is really because it starts off and you see Mr. McAllister is the character that's played by Matthew.
Not Kevin's dad from Home Alone.
Correct.
It's a different Mr. McAllister.
And Mr. McAllister is a teacher played by Matthew Broderick, and he loves his job. He loves his students. He cares
and
about teaching them. Yeah, everybody pretty much respects him. The kids go to him for advice. And he was voted like Teacher of the Year, they said, a number of times.
He's been at the school for 12 years. He won Teacher of the Year 3 times.
Right.
So he's a beast. And he teaches U.S. history.
And ethics and morals are things that come up often throughout this film. So the movie starts off kind of in his point of view. You see him getting ready to start the day. And he's the one who introduces us to Tracy Flick. Tracy Flick is the character played by Reese Witherspoon. She is a goody two-shoes. She is an overachiever. She is a teacher's pet. She is on every possible school club available at the school. And has to lead everything. Like, she's just very much you can tell she's going to be something when she gets out of this school.
I want to also pause here and say that Reese Witherspoon tends to play these prototypes where she's like the stereotypical good girl, the girl back home, the round the way, da 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 da. Like, she kind of always plays these, even when you look at morning show.
Yeah, I was thinking about that.
Characters like the good old girl from Middle America who's coming to shake things up down in New York City. And in this movie, I'm thinking also about fear and about Cruel Intentions, where she plays the good girl who gets good grades and all that. This character is slightly different than the character from those films, primarily because she's really obnoxious and annoying and over the top.
Very extra.
She's doing a lot. So how did you feel about this character going into the movie, at least at the beginning?
Yeah, at the beginning, I just was everybody knows this character from school who was just doing the most. And she has no friends because her main focus is, I got to make sure I have high enough grades, I'm doing the most to get into the school that I want, to get the job that I want. She's always forward thinking about what's next in her life. And
it seems like her mom is playing a part in this too.
Yes, her mom is a paralegal for a huge law firm, and she was raised by a single mother. She says there's no dad in the home, and her mom pretty much has instilled in her that, especially being a woman, you have to work extra hard, which is true. You have to do things better than males who are probably not as smart as you in order to get the attention. And so she's going above and beyond to make sure that people notice her and that she'll be able to thrive as she gets older. So at first I'm like, oh, she's kind of annoying, but okay, whatever. So as Mr. McAllister is describing her and talking about all the clubs that she's in and the kind of person that she is, he says, well, there's one more thing about Tracy I think you should know.
Bruh.
And then the next line is, her pussy gets so wet you can't believe it. And I said, what? Now, the line did not come from Mr. McAllister. It came from his best friend, Dave, who is a fellow teacher at the high school who clearly is having an illicit affair. And I say affair with a very loose terms. It's clearly sexual assault because, like, she's a child, she is a minor, and she's also a student. So what exactly are you doing, Dave? But he apparently is hooking up with this student. So immediately I'm just like, wait, what? This is not what I expected. What is going on here? Dave is disgusting. And we quickly learn that Dave and Tracy, well, at least from Dave's perspective.
Mr. Novotny. Not Dave. His name not Dave. His name is Mr. Novotny. He is a teacher at a high school, and he is sleeping with a high school student.
Mr. Novotny.
Mr. Novotny, yeah.
Is very strange because not only is he hooking up with her at the school, at one point he brings her to his house in his bed.
It's crazy.
And they have sex there.
While he plays 3 times a lady in the background.
I thought about you instantly. You gotta tell the story now.
Well, you brought it up. I gotta tell the story.
It's your story.
Nah, so I had a teacher in 8th grade, and she was kind of a joke, to be honest. Just in the sense that, like, you could tell that she was very clearly just kind of over her job.
Mm-hmm.
She wasn't a particularly good teacher, but she was entertaining enough. And she was kind of going through the motions, but you could tell that this was a jaded woman. Even me as a 12-year-old, I could tell. And there's one kid in my class, I think his name was Ricky. He had already been kept back like twice.
Dang.
So we're like 12 and this kid's like 14 and he's still in our 8th grade social studies class. And I guess at one point he had like failed a test or he didn't hand in homework or something. And the teacher started getting on him in front of the class.
Which is really in poor taste. If you think about it, it's
in poor taste to me now as a grown man, but at the time I thought it was hilarious because I was 12.
Mm-hmm.
And she's like, "Oh, you keep screwing around. You think it's funny? You're gonna be back here again. Once, twice, 3 times in 8th grade. 'Cause I'll fail you." Yo, she was singing that like the whole class. That joint was so funny, and I think it was even funny at the time because I had never even heard this song before.
Exactly. I hadn't either.
Yo, why is she saying once, twice, 3 times in 8th grade? And then when I heard the song, it was even funnier. And this was like years later. So yeah. Shout out to Ricky, man. I hope you made it out of 8th grade.
Oh, sad face. So yeah, Mr. What's his name? I keep calling him Dave, and you don't like that.
Mr. Novotny.
Mr. Novotny is playing this music. He gives her a taste of like her first beer. Like the whole thing is just really gross. And
does he though? I feel like he handed her a soda.
I thought it was a beer.
I mean, maybe it was a beer.
I could be wrong.
Either way,
I thought it was a beer.
Way, he has a student in his bedroom.
So they're hooking up, but it gets to the point where he thinks he's in love with her,
and she thinks she's in love with him too.
Because he ends up making her this handcrafted card, which is crazy.
Nah, it's insane.
And her mom finds the card. And he's like talking about, trying to take her on this getaway to some island somewhere. And
the card had like multiple pages too.
Yeah, but it looked like it was made out of like construction paper.
Nah, it was like a
a
Valentine's card that you would make for your classmate when you were like in 6th grade. It was like that, but it had like 3 pages. So which means he did arts and crafts. Like he stapled it.
He got magazines.
He had cutouts.
And cutouts of pictures of hotels and beachside.
And it was like, yo, this will be us soon, baby.
And then it was
I love you.
I love you. And then he put your teacher, Dave. I was like, oh my God. It was so out of pocket.
Nah, it's crazy.
It was so out of pocket.
It's crazy, but it's also like the fact that Dave, Mr. Novotny, has like no regards for decorum. And I feel like this is kind of a bit of a running theme as my cat Lola shakes her bell in the background.
Oh yeah.
I feel like this is a running theme throughout both Mr. Novotny and Mr. McAllister because later in the film, Mr. McAllister is having an affair with Mr. Novotny's wife, who divorces him after she finds out that he's sleeping with a child. So he starts having an affair with her because he's also married, And when he gets caught, he starts just like leaving all these voicemails on her answering machine. So I'm like, man, these guys don't know how to be discreet at all. If you are having a relationship that you don't want anyone to find out about, obviously one of them is pedophilia. I'm not comparing them. But the fact is, if I'm having an affair and I'm leaving messages on
makes no sense
on the other woman's answering machine, and I know that the other woman has a relationship with my wife, it's not like they don't know each other. It's like, what if my wife's over there?
The whole
it didn't make any sense.
I love you, and I'm like, you love her now? When did that even happen?
When probably around the time that he looked down her blouse when he was trying to hang up the plant in her kitchen. It's probably
there's too much.
Around
there's too
that
much.
time.
So Mr. Novotny ends up being found out. The principal gets hold of this card, this makeshift card, and fires him. But nothing really happens to him legally at all. He just goes back and moves in with his parents.
Yeah, he says, Mr. McAllister says, oh, he's lucky he's not in jail. But that's it, and I guess Tracy's mom doesn't press charges. I'm not really sure exactly
why she wouldn't.
But
I think that what really bothered me about this movie later on in the film, like Mr. McAllister is kind of like he's talking to Tracy about how, you know, if certain things got out, it would hinder you from opportunities in the future. Like he's almost like trying to blackmail her about the fact that she was sexually assaulted by one of her teachers. The whole thing just felt like they were giving her too much agency. Like I felt like she is not responsible for what happened to her because she is a child. And it was almost like the mom was embarrassed maybe about her daughter's actions. And that's why she kind of wanted to tamper it down. Because they're like, we live in Omaha, Nebraska. You know, it's kind of like small town, like values. And I guess she was concerned that people would see her daughter as, you know, 90s word slut. So let's just kind of like
90s word.
You know, it was all over in the 90s.
Yeah, I don't think anybody uses that word.
Try anymore. To keep that down. But it was almost like they were blaming her for her part in what happened. And I'm like, are y'all not realizing what's happening here? That it's not her fault at all? Nobody got that.
Nah, they didn't. And probably also because it was Tracy. Because Tracy, I mean, listen, I'm not excusing pedophilia by any stretch, and I never will. But Tracy is someone who carries herself almost like two adults, and that's part of the reason why she doesn't have any friends. So I imagine that probably had something to do with the way that everybody was carrying this. But you're right. Like, that's not how this would probably be carried in real life. But I realized that my assumption anyway, is that the purpose of this is to carry the plot along. Like, Dave Novotny isn't really a factor other than the fact that, like, now his wife is single and they have a child. So she's now a single mom. And then that means that Mr. M and his wife are like helping her with the son.
Yeah.
So that's really the only purpose that Novotny serves. And it also sets up this whole thing where, like, Mr. M kind of already doesn't like her because she kind of does too much. And then on top of that, it's like this whole thing. I don't know. Actually, I think this is a good thing for us to talk through because
his feelings towards Tracy?
Yeah, like it seemed clear that he doesn't like this student. Do you think it's because Mr. Novotny got fired and him and Mr. Novotny were friends? Or is it like something else? Or maybe it's a combination of things? Like,
I think it's a number of things.
Okay.
So yes, I think on the one hand, it is because his friend got fired, but also your friend's an adult who has sex with a minor. So that's actually your friend's fault. Fine.
Right.
The second part is there's something about Mr. McAllister that, like, there's this toxic masculinity about him that really rubbed me the wrong way. Because even when we fast forward to the very end of the film, when he is teaching at a museum and he asks a question, and there's a little girl there who knows the answer, and she's like, me. There's something about him just being like, I don't know, like disgusted, or I don't know, like he doesn't like when girls are like too opinionated maybe, or too outspoken. It's like he just has this weird thing about it, because throughout the film, there are multiple times where he's almost like daydreaming about Tracy. Like at one point, he's having sex with his wife and he's picturing Tracy. So I was like, bro, like, I thought at one point he was gonna try to smash or like, I couldn't understand what his feelings were. Like, are you trying to suppress the fact that you are attracted to her? Is it something about the fact that she's so, you know, open as far as like how she speaks and so opinionated? Does that rub you the wrong way? But this thing about Tracy that he just can't seem to let go of the entire movie just really rubbed me the wrong way. I'm like, bro, what is your problem with her? Like, why are you so stuck on ruining this girl's life? And even towards the end, it's almost like he's talking about how he hopes Tracy learned her lesson. And I'm like, bro, what are we even talking about here? It's almost like it was set up that Tracy was like the antagonist, but I'm like, but she wasn't. At least in my opinion, I'm like, she wasn't. So what is your problem, bro?
Yeah. So yeah, there's a lot there. I don't know that he was necessarily trying to ruin her life. Maybe in her opinion he was, cuz she was like really pressed about being student government president. But I don't know. I guess I didn't see it as like a gender thing. Maybe that's what it was and I just had a blind spot for it. Um I mean, I think when the movie started, and I think the interesting thing about this movie is that they do have character narration, like in a very like Scorsese fashion, and you think it's gonna be Mr. M throughout the movie, but then you also get narration from Tracy, you get narration from Paul, you get narration from his sister Tammy. So they do jump around, and we get like various characters' perspectives throughout the film, which I thought was very interesting, and it kind of kept me engaged in the movie. But I think from the beginning, as we're kind of seeing this school and seeing these characters, I was just very like, oh, this girl's mad annoying. And so I think in the back of my mind, that was always there. And then there was the whole like poster scandal that was like her fault. She ripped all the posters, she blamed somebody else for it. So it's like, oh, like this girl is just like, she wants to win by any means and she's dishonest. So I don't know that she was like innocent in all this. Obviously, the adult is more guilty because he's literally trying to cheat a student election. Like, there's no reason for him to have done that. But I don't know if it's I guess when I was looking at like the end of the movie when he's in the museum and the little girl is there, for me it was like, oh, like this girl reminds him of Tracy, this student that he never really liked, who was always doing too much and was mad annoying. Because we can even see them in class before the election, and it's like she knows all the answers. She's always raising her hand, and he's like
Mhm.
trying to engage other students, and it's like, okay, fine. And then once he calls on her, and she like gives a soliloquy. So I guess my take on it is that she was just an annoying student, and he was just like over her.
Okay. But
Um,
but the obsession.
no, the obsession I can't answer. I can't answer that. I mean, the thing about it is like there were no boys in the school that seemed to carry themselves the way that she did for us to have a point of comparison. It wasn't like there was this boy student who was also doing the same thing as Tracy and he just hated her. But it was just like, oh, it's really just her. And she was running unopposed. And this is when he gets involved with Paul,
Yeah,
who was the Pepsi to Tracy's Coke.
correct. Paul, played by Chris Klein, is a jock who ends up breaking his leg, I believe, in a ski accident. And so now he can't play football. And
And of course, he's the quarterback. 'Cause
yeah. And he's not very bright. And Mr. McAllister understands that he can kind of manipulate him. He's like, oh, Paul, like, it would be cool if you had something else to do now that football is no longer something that's available to you. Like, what about if you were to run? And he's like, well, Tracy's running. Like, she's a
that's
cool.
her thing.
Yeah, that's her thing, and also she's a cool girl. Like, he has no issues with her. And he's like, yeah, but think about it. And honestly, like, Paul's not a bad guy, a bad character. But the, what stood out to me was when Mr. M asked him, Okay, so like, what's your favorite fruit? And this man said a pear?
Well,
Who says pears as their favorite fruit?
he also changed his answer like 3 times
He sure
because
did.
he was like, well, apple. No, actually, apples. I think I like apples.
Apples. Fine. Let's say all you ever knew were apples. Apples, apples, and more apples. You might think apples were pretty good, even if you got a rotten one once in a while. But then one day, there's an orange. And now you can make a decision. Do you want an apple, or do you want an orange? That's democracy.
I also like bananas.
Exactly. Good.
He didn't know what was going on.
Paul is amazing, man. I thought Paul was mad funny. For all the reasons that like he's the like this innocent dummy that's being used by all these people, but he is probably the most normal of all these characters. And there's this part towards the end of the movie, right before Election Day, where they show Tracy, Paul, and his sister Tammy all praying in their bedrooms. And Tammy is, not Tammy, we'll talk about Tammy in a second. Tracy is like overambitious. She's praying to God that he wins her the election.
Mm-hmm.
And Tammy is like, hey, God, I don't even really believe in you, but if you're out there, like, you know, help me out when I go to this Catholic school, because she just gets kicked out of Carver. And meanwhile, Paul is just like, you know, whatever you think is best. And like, if I win, I win, but I just hope it's a good day. Like, he's just like such a positive, innocent guy, where all of these other characters seem to have ulterior motives. So yes, he is kind of a dumb jock, but he also felt like the character that was easiest to root for.
He also seemed to be the happiest. He was just kind of content with whatever happened. He was kind of just like, all right.
And we know that he grew up with privilege. I mean, we see the house that him and Tammy live in. My
his
goodness.
Dad owns like a crazy cement company or something locally. So
right.
he got a nice
he's
new
a
truck
local
for his
he's a
birthday.
local entrepreneur that has made a decent living for his family. And so Paul has benefited from that on top of being
gifted
the
athletically.
best and gifted in other ways apparently. Because he thanks God for the size of his member. But yeah, like he's I feel like he was being used by Mr. M, but I was kind of rooting for him because I'm just like, Tracy sucks.
So you want him to win the election?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't.
You didn't?
No.
Because Tracy's a woman and you want her.
No, it's not just that. Like, honestly, Tracy would have got stuff done. Like, if I'm in that school, like, and she was talking about how, like, she talked to certain people and they want this and they want that, like, she would actually get something done.
Well, actually, you know
Paul's not going to do anything.
I'm going to take that back.
You'd vote for Tammy.
Because
you would have voted for Tammy.
Tammy is actually who I wanted to win. And this is a perfect segue for us to talk a little bit about Tammy, who is Paul's younger sister. She's a sophomore to Paul and Tracy, who are seniors.
Mm-hmm.
So we get introduced to Tammy when she's in the bedroom kissing a girl.
Lisa.
And she's trying to make out, and Lisa basically like stops her like, yo, I can't do this anymore. And she's like, what are you talking about? And she's like, girl, like,
man.
She basically says, I'm not some dyke like you. I'm not really into girls. We were just experimenting, but we have to stop now. And Tammy's heartbroken because she believes that Lisa is her person and she thinks that they're in love, and she has built up this relationship in her head when Lisa is like, this was a plaything that we were just kind of messing around, but I'm actually not actually gay.
I felt really bad for Tammy.
Of course.
I felt really bad for Tammy because
Tammy's also she's also still in denial about the fact that she's a lesbian.
Yeah, because she said something about like I'm not a lesbian. She's like, I'm attracted to people. It just so happens all the people I'm attracted to are girls.
Right.
So,
which Technically
She's
could be
young.
true.
Yeah, she's young. She's trying to figure things out.
But if everyone I've ever been attracted to is a certain sex, then I'm going to believe that that's my orientation. But who knows?
Yeah.
Maybe when she gets older, she will fall for a man. But as of right now, the girl's 15. So how many people could she have fallen for?
Right.
And we get the sense, based on how this movie plays out, that probably a few. Because it seems like she falls quick and hard.
That's very true. But the thing about Tammy is, after she comes clean and basically to be fair though, it seems as though there's been multiple things that have been led up to this conversation, because apparently
conversation with
Lisa, she's been leaving things in Lisa's locker.
Oh yeah, but she was doing too much, bro.
She was doing too much.
This is supposed to be a secret, and you're not keeping it a secret. So me and you hang out after school and we kiss and we do these things
right
in the privacy of our homes. But I don't want to be walking down the hallway holding hands with you. I'm not even sure if I really like this. This is just something I'm testing out. She's dipping her toe.
Yeah, she's trying to figure it. And again,
so then it's bro, I come and I see that you have pictures of us hugged up in your locker. You got to take that down. And she's like, well, why? I'm like, what are you talking
this
about?
is just for us.
This is not. Come on, bro.
Because Tammy doesn't care if the whole world knows. She's comfortable. She's like, I don't care if people know. She's like, well, I do. But I think for me, the line that was crossed was when she sent her that letter. And she says to her, if you died right now,
nah, come on, man,
I would throw myself into one of my dad's cement trucks and get poured into your tomb. I would be terrified.
Nah, dog.
If someone said that to me.
That's when it's all right, Tammy, I think we're going to have to end this, bro.
But to Tammy's credit, after Lisa received that letter, she still went over there.
That's true.
And got into bed.
She did.
So, girl.
But then she wrapped it. No means no.
Yeah.
So
it's over now.
Once she changed her mind, but the thing that makes it diabolical is the fact that...
What did she do?
She is mad at Tammy. This is the part that didn't make sense to me, because it's girl, you ended things with Tammy. You left her heartbroken, but now you're mad at her, and so now you're trying to get revenge? What was the reason for that?
That's why I thought that she really was a lesbian. Because think about it. If I'm actually straight and I'm just playing around and I'm like, okay, I did that for a little bit and I'm over it, then who cares? But I think it was almost like an overcompensation to be like, well, I'll show you I'm straight. And by doing so, it was like, well, I'm going to find the next guy who happened to be Tammy's brother.
Nah, but that's what I'm saying. That's not find the next guy. That's intentional. That's you trying to stick it to Tammy.
That's telling you I'm done with you. Wrap you.
Yeah, but come on, man. That felt so spiteful and hurtful. And again, people using Paul, who's completely oblivious because he had no idea that his sister and Lisa had this thing going on.
But he even said, one day Lisa and Tammy get into a fight, and the next day after school, she asked for a ride, and she comes over and gives me a blowjob. And it was like, what? And he's like, yeah, so now I guess that's my girlfriend.
So he's like, all right, I guess, that's cool.
He asked no questions.
Yeah, stuff just falls in his lap, literally.
Literally.
So then he's just like, okay, oh yeah, I know that this girl was friends with my sister, but
Not
he
anymore.
he has no...
But he didn't even ask his sister what happened?
I thought he did at one point when he came to knock on her door and she was like, get out of my room. Remember when he came by and was like, yo, it's kind of weird that you're running for student government president. Is there something going on? Why would you do this? Because, you're running against your brother. And I don't really understand. If this is what you want to do, fine. But, can you... And she's like, no, I'm not going to talk to you about this. Get out of my room.
But even that felt weird because it was again, it's so I'm going to run for student body president or whatever. But that's not really getting back at Lisa.
She was trying to get back at both of them because Lisa was basically serving as his de facto campaign manager. So she's like, I want to be the face of my brother and Lisa's failure. And I think it was more definitely about Lisa than her brother. Because she didn't actually have beef with him. He was completely
he didn't know what was going on.
In the dark. What I thought she was going to do was join forces with Tracy. Because when we meet Tracy at the beginning, I'm like, yo, this girl's doing too much. She's mad intense. Then we meet Tammy, and I'm like, this girl's doing too much. She's mad intense. So in my head, I'm like, how are these two characters gonna cross paths? And when the whole thing happened with Lisa, I'm like, oh, if she teams up with Tracy, they're gonna be lunatics together, which doesn't happen, and it goes a different direction. But Tammy is great, man, because, man, Tammy's speech.
It was riveting. I would have cheered for her.
Yeah, like, yo, do you recognize that before Mr. M fixes the election, Tammy gets disqualified because she actually gets expelled from school because of the speech that she gives? What?
Well,
she gets suspended
because of the posters.
She gets suspended because of the speech,
which I think is a little bit crazy.
And then she gets because the principal was just like, I'm done with this girl, and I just want her.
Yeah,
out.
To be fair, this is like not her first rodeo.
Nah, she's been getting trouble for the past 2 years she's been in high school.
Yeah. And actually, she wanted to get kicked out, which is why she takes the blame for the posters.
Right. But when Tammy gives this speech, it's amazing, bro. Because she's basically like, yo, this whole system is a joke.
The same pathetic charade happens every year. And everyone makes the same pathetic promises just so they can put it on their transcripts to get into college. So vote for me, because I don't even want to go to college. And I don't care. And as president, I won't do anything. The only promise I will make is that, if elected, I will immediately dismantle the student government so that none of us will ever have to sit through one of these stupid assemblies again.
And they're like, yo, she's lit.
So everybody was like, oh, yeah.
Yo, it's straight. Like, she's running on an anarchist campaign.
Yeah.
And at the end, when she gets expelled and she's removed from the ballot, it's only Paul and Tracy left. But there are more votes for Tammy still because all those people voted like undecided or no contest or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
There were more of those votes than there were votes for Paul or for Tracy.
Yeah.
So she would have won the election if she didn't get expelled.
By landslide.
So shout out to Tammy because she was the best.
Yeah, she really was. She really was good at that point. She was like, I'm over this. Who cares? I think for me, the best part of the speech was after she does that whole thing about vote for me and like, I'll just do this. And then she says, or don't vote for me. Matter of fact, don't vote at all.
Nah, it's amazing.
She's like, I actually don't care.
It's amazing, bro. She's a gangster.
So now it comes down to the actual vote, like you said. And you have these people on, I guess, the election board. Mr. McAllister is like the teacher advisor. And you have this one character who takes his job very seriously, one of the students, about counting the votes.
This is like, yo, I know the rules. I know the procedure. We've gone over this. Like, this is my task.
Right.
So where's the key, bro? Like, give me the key.
Open it up. He's like, I do my count first, and then you do your count.
Checks and balances, bro.
So he does his count, and Mr. McAllister was like, all right, so who won? And he's like, that's not how that's supposed to go. He's like, I did my count.
He's like, I can't tell you.
Now you do your count, and we make sure that it matches. And he's like, come on, just tell me. And he's like, but that's not how it goes. And he's like, honestly, like, it really doesn't matter. Just tell me who's winning. And so eventually he's like, okay, I have, what's her name? Tracy winning by one.
By one vote.
So he's like, all right, let me go ahead and
Which ironically is Paul's vote.
Oh, yeah, because Paul said he didn't feel right to vote for himself, so he voted for Tracy.
So which actually means, it
would have been a tie.
Paul would have won.
Tracy won by one, so it would have been a tie.
Oh, that's right.
It would have been a tie.
Wait, no. If she wins by one, then that means it's an odd number. So his vote would have swung it, because he would have won by one. So it's like, if Paul just voted for himself, then the rest of this movie doesn't happen, because then she actually would have lost fairly. Which I didn't even think about by the end of the movie, but I'm thinking about it now. Like,
yeah, I was like, Paul, yeah, he doesn't know what he's doing.
Paul, I also feel like at a certain level,
he doesn't really care.
Yes, he doesn't really care, but also like, do I actually want to run the student government?
No.
So it's like, I feel like if he was really pressed about it, he wouldn't have felt so bad about voting for himself. He would have just done it. But the fact is, I don't think he really wanted the responsibility. And it's like, oh, like people seem excited about voting for me, so like cool.
Mm-hmm.
But it wasn't something that he necessarily wanted.
So Mr. McAllister realizes Tracy's about to win. He counts it out, and he was like, "No, this can't happen." So then he takes 2 of the votes for Tracy, and he throws them in the garbage. And I knew he was.
Again, bro. Again, this is the whole thing. It's like, bro, you're mad sloppy with your.
Why would you put it in the garbage can right next to your desk?
You're mad sloppy with your indiscretions, bro. You're mad sloppy with the way you cheat on your wife. You're mad sloppy with the way that you cheat.
Which we have to talk about in more detail.
Student government election. Like, come on, my guy. You're a 40-year-old man.
Everything about him was just sloppy.
Sloppy.
Because apart from the voicemails that he leaves, whatever the wife's name was, what really bothered me about him, and I thought it was going to work out worse than it did, was basically the morning after he has sex at the house of his friend's wife.
Mrs. Novotny.
He basically is like, yo, like, no, she says, oh, let's go to a motel. Which is kind of a callback.
Oh, no.
Which is kind of a callback because earlier on when they were in the car, you could see that they were getting close. He's going to the house. At first, it's him and his wife together helping out at the house. They're helping her fix, light bulbs and whatever. And then eventually it's like, oh, my car's in the shop and I need to go to the mall. And he's taking her to get lipstick. It was like, and how does this color look on me? The whole thing was just I was like, this is getting to be very uncomfortable.
Well.
And then he's driving her back.
This is why.
And he passes by the motel. And he like makes a joke like, yo, should we get a room? Ha ha ha. And she's like, what? And he's like, look, points to the motel. Should we get a room? And like she curves him. She was like, that's not funny. And so I was like, oh, so this is not going to happen because clearly she's disgusted by this man. And then later on.
But he planted the seed.
Yeah.
He planted the seed and then she probably was thinking about it the rest of the night. And she's like, oh,
and then later on, they have sex at the house. And then she's like, let's get
at her house.
Yeah, let's get a motel. So
the whole thing is, girl, you live alone. Y'all can just sleep. Y'all can just have sex at your house as many times as you want. Your husband doesn't live there anymore.
Yeah, I think it's the excitement of it all. It's like something new. It's like,
it's a tryst.
Yeah.
It's not a tryst if you're at the house.
But also,
what are the tryst rules?
But also,
it has to be a motel?
No, because I just feel like the idea of going to a motel and getting on these sheets that I know they don't change is so disgusting to me.
You could at least
you couldn't get a nice little Hampton Inn.
You could have Hampton Inn.
A little Holiday Inn Express.
You could have definitely Hampton or Holiday.
Like, you got to give me a little something. A motel is not.
Bro, the motel.
It wasn't even a brand name. Just that motel on it. Like, come on, man.
It looked crazy. It looked like somewhere you would bring a prostitute. You're not bringing someone you actually care about to a motel. This is insane.
And then he had the audacity
to go to Walgreens.
He had the audacity to get a bottle of champagne
and some chocolate and some Walgreens flowers. He went to Walgreens and got flowers, a little box of chocolates from the candy aisle.
And then he put this bottle of champagne with ice in that nasty ass sink in the motel. Like,
nah, you know the craziest part. You know what's the craziest part about
that? The whole bath.
Nah, dog. I forgot about the whole bath. I wasn't even gonna go there.
The whole bath was the best part.
He did have a whole bath. But the craziest part about this, I'm gonna go back to the whole bath. But the craziest part about this is he does all of this in the middle of his class.
That's what I'm saying. Like, back to the sloppy.
It's incredible.
Back to the sloppy.
He's literally like creates a pop quiz, prints out mad copies, hands it out at the beginning of class. Yo, surprise! Y'all got a pop quiz today. Yo, take these tests. Don't worry, y'all got this.
When you're done, just sit there and be quiet.
And he's like, yo, I'll be right back. He leaves campus. So this means you left your students
insanity
unattended for the entire period.
Mm-hmm. They all could have been cheating off of each other.
Well, yes. And at this point, his head is so gone that he's not focused about his job. And you can see him slipping, like him being the man, him being the teacher that everybody relies on. He has positive relationships with his students. Like all of this is slipping away because why? Because you didn't like one of your students and you tried to sabotage her, and because you decided to cheat on your wife. Like
Crazy.
The combination of those two things ruins him. and he's leaving his entire class for the entirety of the period, because when he by the time he goes to the Walgreens, goes to the motel, checks in, sets it up, takes a whole bath in the tub, comes back to campus, the
bell
period
rings.
is over.
Yeah. I didn't think he would make it back in time. Like, I thought like someone would see him on the way. Like, I thought something was gonna go wrong, because I'm like, this does not give you enough time to do all of these things. And you see this grown man crouching over in a tub, washing his balls off. I was like, bro, this is not it. And then all the running around he was doing after, I'm like, they're gonna get sweaty again.
Yeah,
that's all I kept thinking.
Yeah, this is the crazy thing.
I'm like, they're
bro,
sweaty again.
This is why you got a motel room. You can wash up when you're there with the woman.
Exactly.
It's not like you're not gonna have time to wash.
No, he
he
wants to open the door and like have the whole tear your clothes off. You know.
Yeah, but
that's what he wanted.
Bro, you're gonna sweat again because now you're running back in through the school building.
I don't know. I don't know what to tell you.
I don't know what to tell you. You're gonna accumulate, bro. It's not a done.
So he does all of this. The rest of the work day is a blur. He doesn't know what the hell's going on. He leaves out. He breaks his neck peeling out to go to the motel. And, no, he goes to the house first to pick her up to take her to the motel.
Again,
why
bro,
are we doing this? Does she not have a car?
If I'm meeting someone at a motel, it's because I'm meeting someone at the motel. Like, I'm not picking them up and taking them to a motel.
Who does that?
That's not a tryst.
Who does that?
He's trysting all wrong.
It's incorrect. So he goes to the house and it's dark. No response. Ringing the doorbell, knocking on the door. He's like, hey, where are you? Then he starts making phone calls. He can't find her.
That's also when he gets stung by the bee. While he's snooping around.
He goes to the
in
back
her
of the
backyard.
house. Yep. Goes to the back of the house, and it's like, she's clearly not at the house. So now he's like, yo, where is she? Well, maybe she went to the motel to meet me there. Now he drives to the motel, and he goes in, can't find her. She's not at the motel. So now he starts leaving voicemails, like you said, at the house. Like, hey, I'm at the motel room, whatever. Bro, I'm like, bro, why would you put this on her voicemail?
He says the suite number.
Now she has evidence to give to your wife. Concrete evidence.
She might play her messages while she's in the house with your wife. And what if she hadn't gone back and told the wife? And let's say that she was continuing to keep this a secret and had decided not to admit it, which is what she ultimately does. But like, your wife could have just found out, and then y'all both would have been looking crazy.
They're friends. They hang out on a regular basis. So then it gets even worse. So then he's like, oh, I don't know what to do. I don't know. So eventually, after waiting there and she never shows up, he begrudgingly decides to go home. And he's like blown because like, clearly she blew me off. Something came up. I don't know. And
I got to go back home to my dumbass wife.
And earlier on in the movie, we learned that they never had kids. They apparently have just recently decided to try.
Fill me up.
They decided to try, and it hasn't happened yet. But we know that Dave and his wife have a baby.
Yep.
And so I already know. I'm like, this is about to be bad. He gets in the house, opens the fridge, grabs a beer. What a long day. Taking a deep breath. He's sighing. He got a bee sting in his eye. Like, looking a hot mess. And all of a sudden, you hear a baby, like, wailing. And I was like, yep. That means she's in the house.
Cooked.
And then he, like, slowly walks in and looks in the living room. And you see his wife in tears. The other wife, Dave's wife, is sitting there holding the baby, rocking the baby. And then his wife just turns and looks at him. And like, no words were even said. He just left the house.
He says, okay. It's like, there's nothing to say. It's just like, okay.
It's like, I'm cooked.
Yeah, it's like, all right, I'm just gonna go ahead and head out. Yeah.
It's the SpongeBob meme.
Yeah.
All right, I'm about to head out.
I'm gonna just head out.
So he heads out. He goes to the car. But this is it gets even crazier. Because now he decides the thing to do is to drive to Dave's wife's house and park outside the entire night. And he even says, like, oh, she didn't come back to the house that night. I think her name was, like, Linda.
Sounds right.
She didn't come back to the house. I know because I waited outside for 10 hours. I said, what? What did you think was going to happen? Then he leaves her voicemail number 2. Why did you do it? Just tell me why. Why did you tell her? I love you. What's going on? What's happening? I'm like, bro, she told your wife. what else is there to discuss? Y'all are
Nah,
done.
Yeah, he's spinning out, and he's down bad at this point because he's like, he was already thinking about this affair, because when you talk about how he was fantasizing about Tracy while he was having sex with his wife, he was also fantasizing about Linda. And the closer they got, the more he found himself being sexually attracted to her. So he's now built this up in his head. And then he finally sleeps with her, and she agrees to like, yo, let's do this again. Let's go to the motel. So now he's like, yo, I'm about to have this affair that I've been fantasizing about. He's built it up in his head. So despite the fact that Linda goes and tells his wife and basically says like, yo, I feel bad and this is what happened. I think in his head, he's still like, damn, this sucks, but maybe I can still make this work.
He's trying to salvage it.
He's trying to salvage it. Never mind, he's not trying to salvage his relationship with his wife,
Which is insane.
He's trying to salvage Linda, because Linda actually makes him excited, and he's bored with his wife. Like, him and his wife have been together for a while. They have a very normal platonic relationship, but there's no sense that either of them is really excited by the other.
Even the sex seems like it's just for the kids. Like, it's just to have the baby.
Like, come on, like,
fill me up.
fill me up. Come on.
And also, like,
get your big one
like,
off.
Clearly, I'm not a
I can get
man,
pregnant.
but I just felt like that's got to be so much pressure to just hear someone in your ear. Come on, fill me up. I was like, oh my god.
Yeah,
it just seemed like that does not seem like a good experience.
It's not turning me on. I can assure you, there are a lot of things you could have said that would have gotten your fill, and fill me up isn't one of them.
Is it up there? Family Feud?
No.
It's not up there.
Is it up there? Fill me up.
Yeah. So I mean, but again, not excusing his activities. Like, that's not what I'm saying. But clearly, he's at the point. But also, if I'm gonna have a kid, have a kid with this woman, that means I want to be here, at least long term. So how are you actively trying to have a child and then having an affair on the side? It just seems like two complete opposite things. You know what I mean? Like, if you're trying to have a child with someone, that means you're trying to be there at least for the next 18 years. So why am I doing that? And then, I mean, people do it, but I just don't get it.
It's like,
I just don't get it.
It doesn't make a lot of sense, but this is also, you're assuming that people are actually planful about having kids. And I think there's enough evidence to prove that is not always the case. Because like you said, it does happen all the time. People have a girlfriend or a wife that's pregnant and they're out there cheating and they're doing all types of other things. So it's like, you haven't thought about raising this child, obviously, if you're already stepping out before the baby's even gotten here.
Lord. I'm just glad that his wife didn't get pregnant. Like, that's the one thing I would say I was happy about. So anyway, yeah, he's begging to get Linda back, and Linda basically, at one point, she finally answers the phone, and she's like, why are you calling me, bro? And he's like, come on, we could still work it out. And she curves him and is like, no, like, we made a mistake. Like, I was confused. I was, she was still kind of mourning the fact that, you gotta think, like, their baby is young. Her baby is young. And she found out that her husband was having sex with a student. Like, that's gotta be devastating. And I think he tells her he loves her. He loves this student. So it's like, at this point, she's probably like, I have a new baby. My husband ended up to be complete trash. And she's lonely and she has sex with this guy. But like, she's like, I don't want to be with you. And probably not any other man at this point. I don't trust none of y'all.
Yeah, it's a little soon. I
don't trust none of y'all. So anyway, that gets wrapped up. And then because Mr. M is a hot mess, the custodian ends up fighting the two votes in his garbage can because, of course, he didn't get rid of them.
He didn't even rip them up.
He didn't pocket them. He didn't, like...
burn it. Like, come on, dog.
They're just sitting in his garbage.
You just crumpled it and threw it in the trash that's sitting directly next to your desk. And there's this part at the beginning of the movie where Mr. M gets to school early and he can't find anywhere to put his lunch because the
Ugh.
the teacher lounge fridge is full and it's
Ugh.
gross. And he starts dumping stuff and he drops some of the old food on the ground, and the janitor passes by and sees it and is just staring at him. And it was just like random, but then they show it again at the end when the janitor goes through his trash, and I'm like, yo, is the janitor still pissed about the Chinese food that he dropped on the floor?
The answer is yes.
He's looking for a reason to get back at this guy, which doesn't really actually make any sense because, like I said, the ballots were just sitting on the top of the trash. I don't know that the janitor would have needed to like dig through his things to find it, but it was funny because right at the beginning, as I'm seeing this, I'm just like, yo, shared fridges can be an absolute hellscape. And that is true to form.
Honestly, that scene really upset me because I was looking at it and I was just like, I'm so glad that I'm not working in the office because having to put your lunch, first of all, the fridge is always disgusting. It's just like a rule. It's always filthy.
That's the thing. It's like nobody owns it. So it's just like, yo, like I just gotta keep my lunch cold until 1:00. Whatever else happens in here is not my problem.
Just spills all in the microwave at work. Oh dear God.
Yeah, same
it's
thing.
Disgusting.
Use and abuse, baby.
It's disgusting.
I'm not cleaning it
There's
up.
sauce everywhere, cheese.
I'm not cleaning up Jim's soup. So somebody else got to clean
Jim should clean it up.
Jim should clean it up, but he didn't. So who's gonna do it? Are you gonna do it?
So no. So the one issue is how unclean it is. The second issue is you might put something in there, and when you go back, it's not there.
See, this is actually even more diabolical than a dirty microwave to me. Is how do you take someone else's food? Like that is to me is more crazy than not cleaning up your soup. Like,
bro.
Yes, you should clean up your soup. But going in the fridge, looking around, grabbing a bag or a Tupperware container that you know your ass did not put in there at 9 a.m. and just taking it back to your desk and eating it?
I'm hungry.
That's insane.
Yo, I got a story real fast.
That happened at my office back when I worked at a different place years and years ago. I remember somebody being like, yo, my lunch is missing. And I was like, dog, like what? Like I couldn't believe
People
it.
do it. People do it. I had a judge one time do an email blast to the entire office.
Come on, man.
And like the email was like written in all caps. Like
what are we doing?
He was not happy.
What are we doing?
And like
somebody stole my damn tuna fish.
The subject was who stole my food? ?
I hope you kept that email, bro. I hope you didn't delete that.
And in the email,
you gotta keep that.
And in the email, he basically goes on to describe what happened the night before. He said, I was working late. He said, I had hearings. I intended to stay late in the office to work to get some stuff done, prepping for some stuff for tomorrow. And he said, imagine my surprise.
Nah, he wrote a short story.
Imagine my surprise.
He wrote a short story in the email.
when
he gave the background.
He's a judge,
Character development.
He said, imagine my surprise when I opened the fridge and realized, this is his dinner. He's working late.
Not anymore.
His dinner.
You better Uber Eats it.
His dinner was not there. This is pre-COVID, baby. His dinner was not there.
Nah, you know what? It was probably the cleanup crew probably took that joint. Man.
He was
because who else is in the office that late? It's either
He was hot.
It's either somebody else who stayed late. They told he took his joint, or it might have been
somebody could have ate it for lunch. We don't know what time. You know what I'm saying? Because think about it. He came in the morning and
he
decided.
left it there all day.
Yeah, somebody could have ate it for lunch, or maybe somebody's diabolical enough to take it home.
Nah, if you steal somebody's food and take it home. Nah, that's crazy. You put it in your bag? Like, nah, they're not going to see this. You put it in your bag right next to your laptop. Just take that joint home.
Somebody was short of funds. He said, I don't get paid till next Friday.
That's crazy, bro.
But yeah, he was tight, and like, I felt bad. There were people snickering. I felt bad. I didn't even laugh. I was like, damn, that sucks. Clearly, you would have been the ones laughing because you're... I wish y'all could see him right now. He's holding his head. He can't even sit up straight. He's dying.
That's crazy.
Can you
It's
imagine?
crazy. Who stole my food is crazy.
He wants to know what happened.
Yeah, that's amazing.
He was incensed.
Oh man, of course,
He was
he
incensed.
was incensed. How could you not be incensed? You can't steal people's food, man.
All to say that one scene in the beginning really did a lot for me. I was like, man, I do not miss the shared fridge at work at all.
So going back to Tammy, and again, like we said, Tracy's the one who actually rips down the posters because she's at the school at like 6:00 at night on like a Saturday, doing too much. One of her posters.
It was an accident at first. Like,
one of her posters keeps falling down. She tries to put it back up. She rips it by accident, and she gets pissed off, and she just rips down all of her and Paul's posters. So then Tammy sees her getting rid of the evidence, which is pretty funny because she stuffs the bag in her trunk like it's a dead body.
Yeah, I liked that
and
scene.
the red paint on her hands looks like blood. It's pretty funny. So then Tammy goes in the next day and she's like, oh yeah, that was me. I ripped everything down and here I even have the evidence to prove it. And Mr. M knows this doesn't make sense because it's like, why would you have been in the school
that late
on a Saturday? How did you even get in here? Oh, I don't know. One of the doors was open. The story doesn't add up, but at this point, the principal's looking for a reason because he already doesn't like her.
Yeah. And she has the evidence. So.
She's gotten in a lot of trouble up to this point, and now her parents are pissed because they're like, yo, the principal's mad. You're always getting in trouble. You know what? She didn't even get expelled. They pull her out. And they're like, yo, we're moving you to Immaculate Heart, the Catholic girls' school, which is the ultimate comedy because they're pulling her out of the high school that she hates. And they're sending their closeted lesbian daughter to a girls' school as a punishment, not knowing that this is where she wanted to go all along. So she's like, oh, I'm lit. Like, I got in all the trouble, and now I got what I want. She ends up at this Catholic school where she's like, yo, they think they're strict, but they're actually not. She's like smoking weed in the bathroom with other girls. And then
having a time.
She's having the time of her life, and she's surrounded by all these blonde babes.
So I want to ask about that. So the girl that
then she meets a new Lisa at the end, and then it's
now she's infatuated with her.
Now it's the same thing. They're on the swing set together, same as her and Lisa in the flashbacks. And she's like, I think this is the one.
Did they actually kiss at all?
I don't think they show that.
Because I'm like, I think in her mind, she's in love with her, but I don't know that friend sees her as anything more than just a friend.
Well,
I'm wondering if it's going to be another cycle of like what happened with Lisa.
I think that was the whole point.
Yeah.
I think the whole point is that she like falls fast and hard, and she builds up these relationships in her head, which is why we see her doing a lot of same things she was doing with Lisa. It's like, oh, it's happening to her again.
Oh, Tammy.
And there is a sense of the end of the movie of like nobody really learning their lesson. I guess you could say Mr. M did, kind of. In the sense that, like, he lost his wife and had to leave Nebraska and was, like, disgraced and shamed and ultimately ends up doing museum tours in New York, living in, like, a shoebox apartment for $1,500 a month.
He found a new paramour.
He does find a new woman that he's into. But, like, Tracy, same as she was at the beginning of the movie. Paul, same as he was at the beginning of the movie. Tammy definitely is the same. And so, like, these characters have all these things happen to them, but none of them really learns a lesson. And maybe that's the point. Because the ones that ultimately have to take a lot of the, I don't know if responsibility is the right word, but, like, the ones who really pay for their sins are the adults. Is Mr. Novotny and Mr. McAllister.
Who should.
Right. No, I'm not saying that they shouldn't. I'm saying, like, maybe that was the point. Is, like, these kids are doing these things, and it really doesn't matter because they're kids.
Well.
Which, I don't know. I mean, I guess this would be a good time to get into what we thought the theme of the film was.
Well, in the movie, early on, Mr. McAllister is teaching this lesson, and he's talking about ethics versus morals. And the movie does a good job of not really explaining the difference.
I was about to say, I'm not sure that I fully understood it because they didn't really explain it.
Well, I feel like when I think about the difference, because I was thinking about this as I was watching the film, is like when I think of ethics, I think about a course I took in law school, right? It's very much like we had to take this class. It had very clear definitions, and I see it as like a list of rules that have been created by a particular society, right? So for attorneys, you have ethics that say things like, there's things called conflict of interest. There's things like misuse of client funds. You have to make sure that
Right.
you're doing certain things. Whereas I think morals are more like personal because what I think is morally correct may not be what you think is morally correct. So I think ethics are a little bit more defined because they're rules set out by a particular agency, whereas your morals I think is more based on
So a
what you think.
moral is for a person.
That's the
but
way I
an
see it, at least.
an ethic or an ethics
Ethics.
are societal.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, that makes sense.
That's the way that I've always kind of seen the difference between the two of them. And it's funny because in the beginning, Mr. M is talking to Mr. Novotny about how, it wouldn't be, if he's hooking up with a student, it's not morally right, it's not whatever. And Dave says something about like, oh, like, well, I don't care about ethics. And he's like, well, it's not ethically or morally correct. And Mr. M is very much this person that initially seems to know the difference between the two of them, right? He's trying to instill this in the students and he's the stand-up guy. But as the movie progresses, we see that, like, bro, whether it's ethics or morals, like, you're pretty trash.
You lost both of them.
Because ethically, you're rigging a student election. So we know ethically you absolutely can't do that. And then as far as the affair, morally, that's something you shouldn't be doing.
Well, let me ask you this. What do you think is the reason for this? Like, because he's definitely not painted as this person at the beginning of the movie, and at the end, he's like completely spiraled. So, are we supposed to believe that this is who he was all along, or was it some specific trigger that basically made him lose his morals?
I don't know. I feel like one of the themes here was just telling people to learn how to control your impulses or your emotions. And that could be said by Mr. McAllister or by Mr. Novotny. Because it's like, regardless of if you're attracted to a student or your friend's wife, like maybe you should learn how to keep it in your pants. Like maybe this student is getting on your nerves, but maybe you shouldn't go as far as to rig the election. Or, I mean, think about it. He's thinking about having sex with Tracy. And there's been other times in the movie where he's going to sleep at night and he's seeing like her lips, like speaking above his head. So I was like, bro, like, do you want to have sex with this girl? Like that whole thing was just very like, I almost felt like he had like this weird, like love-hate sexual thing for her. And so to take control over it, he was like, I'm just going to try to destroy her. But it was like, bro, like, how about have some self-control? Which I feel like he didn't have. But yeah, it was very, very odd movie, I'll say that. I've never seen anything like this. And I can see why it's rated R.
Yeah.
This is not a PG-13 film.
Nah. So let's get into
Some facts?
some themes.
I was talking about themes.
Oh, you did already.
You can do your take.
So no, I thought you were responding to my question about Mr. M. So you're saying the theme was basically to control your sexual urges?
No, not just sexual. Like I said, like I think it's talking about the difference between ethics and morals and how you navigate the world. And so I think a part of that is learning how to control your emotions and your desires in order to act more ethically or morally.
Yeah. Okay. I mean that's better than what I came up with. So I think the theme that I was thinking of was more so about the interference and dishonesty. Like at the beginning of the movie, before we know exactly what happens, Tracy is talking in her narration about how Mr. M interfered with destiny. And she says you can't interfere with destiny. If you try to interfere, the same thing's just going to happen anyway, and you'll just suffer.
Mm-hmm.
And for me, I think the big turn, maybe not necessarily in his motivation, but in his action, was that he was like starting to meddle in affairs that he had no business meddling in. He was becoming exceedingly more dishonest. And it's almost like when things happen and you become so hard pressed to stop them, you actually just end up making things worse. And Tracy almost learned that lesson. Had Paul actually voted for himself, she would have. Because again, like, she did everything the right way. She campaigned, she made posters, she made buttons. She was doing all these things, and then she decided to like rip all these posters up and then cover it up and lie about it. Which again, like, let things play out, do the best that you can, but don't meddle and try to be dishonest, because all you're doing is muddying up the situation more. And yeah, sometimes it works in your favor, but I feel like at the end of the day, it just makes things worse than they need to be.
I mean, maybe it's just me, but I watched this movie and I was just kind of like, okay, so she pulled the posters down, okay, but like, do you really think someone is going to change their vote because the poster wasn't there?
No.
Like, that's why I was like, okay, like, I just didn't see why. Like, yes, she shouldn't
But
have done
again,
it.
this is ethics versus morals, right? Like, it was
like,
immoral.
it wasn't a big, like, it wasn't like, oh my God, like, the election is going to be ruined now the posters are gone, because they had been up for quite some time. It wasn't I think it would have been different
But
for
if
me.
I'm running for president and I come in on Monday and all my posters are ripped off the wall, I'm going to be like, yo, who did this?
Yeah, but hers are down too.
Right, and that's why nobody's going to think it's her.
Yeah,
the whole point.
I'm just saying, like, I don't think that would have any, like, causation as to who's going to win the election. Like, I wouldn't be like, oh,
but
their poster's not
this
there.
This is the whole thing.
I don't know. I was like, this is not a big deal.
Yeah,
this is not a big deal.
I don't think it's a big deal at the end of the day. Like I said, she still would have lost if Paul had just voted for himself. But anyway.
What'd you think about the ending when he finally sees her in D.C. and she's with some kind of politician?
Well, I don't know what to make of the ending. The ending is basically him saying that, like, once I saw her, at first I was just going to ignore it, but then I realized that, like, I'm still pissed because she kind of, like, ruined my life that I had in Omaha.
Probably still getting up at 5 in the morning to pursue her pathetic little dreams. It just makes me sad. I mean, where is she really trying to get to anyway? And what is she doing in that limo? Who the fuck does she think she is?
And he, like, throws his drink at the limo because he sees her, like, hanging out with, like, a representative. And meanwhile, she's doing her narration at the end of the movie. And she's like, yeah, I actually kind of just forgot about Mr. McAllister. Like, it's almost kind of like he never existed.
Mm-hmm.
But she still hasn't really learned her lesson either, I guess, in terms of socialization, because she's still very uptight. She's still very antisocial. She says, like, oh, I just figured I'd get into a good school like Georgetown and things would change and I'd, like, make more friends. But she still doesn't actually know how to relate to people. And so we see her, like, doing something with a DC politician. So we can assume that she's, like, headed on to great things, but it's like, you still don't know how to relate to other people. And so I feel like that's going to keep getting in her way.
Yeah, I agree. Something about that, I feel like if she were to run for a high-ranking official or, like, trying to run for president, it would bite her in the butt because people would say she's not personable.
She has no charisma, yeah.
Yeah, so that she would never win an election. So speaking about the ending, there is an alternate ending that was originally shot that I watched on YouTube. And in the alternate, you have Mr. McAllister, who's working as a car salesman. And then Tracy goes to where he's working and she's looking for a car. She asks for him specifically. And they go on a test drive. And while they're driving, she basically asks him why he did it, why he rigged the election. And he says that he was going through a really tough time and that he took it out on her. And then he apologizes. She accepts his apology. And then during the test drive, she ends up driving to her house and asks him to wait in the car. And then she goes inside and gets her yearbook and asks him for his signature because no one else
Nobody
has
else
signed
signed
it.
it.
And then he ends up signing it. And then she confides in him that she's actually afraid of going to college. And he reassures her that she will do well. And it kind of ends with them like having, you know, this nice moment, and the movie ends. And the test audience was like, boo. They did not like it because this movie's kind of like a dark comedy. And they said the ending just like, it kind of fell flat. The crowds just weren't really a fan. And so they ended up changing it to this one where you're kind of hearing different views. And he's still kind of holding on to that grudge. And even in his mind, he's like, oh, she's never learned her lesson. She's going to be the same. But it's like, you see her talking with the politician. Like, what about that is telling you that hasn't learned her lesson? Like, I didn't understand why he still was like holding on to this idea that like she was doing so poorly in life. I was like, bro, I think she's doing fine.
But they both carry similar delusions because at various points in the movie, we hear Tracy saying that like, oh, Mr. M just teaches the same thing year after year. His life is probably so boring. He teaches all these students who go on to have successful jobs and make more money than him. And he probably just did this because he's jealous of me. And it's like, there's no indication that he was jealous of any of his students or that he was disappointed with the career choices that he had made. But this was something that she told herself in her head. And he basically did the same thing of just like, oh yeah, she thinks she's all that with her GPA, but she actually doesn't know how to like have relationships with people, and she's actually probably jealous of people like Paul. So it's like they're both kind of like projecting things on each other that are not warranted or based on anything other than their own perception of who the other person is.
Yeah, okay, that's true. So this movie is actually based on a novel written in 1998 by Tom Perrotta. And that was the original ending that I talked about earlier that's based on the actual book. The author of the book told Huffington Post that the inspiration for the novel was that he had just finished like coming down from the 1992 election with like Ross Perot, Bill Clinton, and George H.W. Bush. And he was so caught up in the race that when it was over, he just kind of wanted to write like a political novel, but like based in a high school. And there is a sequel to that novel called Tracy Flick Can't Win. And in that novel, Tracy is working now as an assistant principal at a public high school, and she is now feeling underappreciated and seeking a promotion. As of last year,
That's funny.
the movie is currently in production with Alexander Payne going to be directing it, and Witherspoon coming back, of course, to play Tracy. But it should be a few years before they actually start shooting it because Payne is committed to do 2 other projects prior to that one. What I thought was really interesting is that Paramount wanted Tom Cruise or Tom Hanks to play Mr. McAllister. But Payne said that I never thought that either of the Toms would work for the role. He said, first of all, I didn't think that Tom Cruise was right. And second of all, he said, Tom Hanks is a wonderful actor, but I knew at the time there was no way in hell he would take that part. So eventually they found Matthew Broderick, which was the perfect fit. This was the first.
He was very good in
this is like, I feel like it felt like the character was him. Like he wasn't really acting. So it worked. Chris Klein, this was his first role. This was before American Pie. And at the time, he was a senior in high school in Omaha, Nebraska, when Payne discovered him. Apparently, he was scouting the high schools, like to try to find people for the film. And I think it was the principal made sure that he was introduced to Chris Klein because he was the resident theater guy at the school. Like, he absolutely loves theater, which made me laugh because I was thinking about an American Pie when he was doing that Glee Club thing.
Oh my God.
But like, apparently it's like, yeah, he was in all the high school plays. Like, that was his role in his actual high school, which I was like,
funny.
that's amazing.
Yo, an Election and American Pie came out the same year.
Yeah.
They're both 1999.
Yeah. So when Chris Klein read the script, originally he turned it down because he said, I can't have my grandma see me getting a blowjob. He was nervous about it, but the director eventually talked him into it. They ended up shooting it at a school in Nebraska, but in a completely different city than Omaha, because the superintendent of the Omaha public schools read the script and was horrified by it. He basically forbid him to use any high school in that school system because he said he didn't want to have anything associated with the student having an affair with the teacher, in one of his schools, which
Yeah.
I get. I absolutely get. Oh, and lastly, talking about the whole bath. Apparently, the director Payne said about what attracted him to the project. He said, it has this one shot, and the shot cracked me up so much that I wanted to have a whole film just for this scene. He said he meets Linda at a cheap motel. He puts some champagne in the sink with ice, and then he puts the Russell Stover chocolates.
Bruh, straight from Walgreens.
The Russell Stover chocolates.
Straight from Walgreens candy aisle.
He said, and then there's a shot where he gets into the bathtub and he washes his ass and his balls and his dick. And he squatted over in the bathtub washing himself. The whole film was pretty much just for that shot.
Oh, well, there you go. Well, everybody has their own cinematic motivations, and that was his.
And now...
It's time for the Rewind Rating.
All right, who wants to go first? Me?
Are you the teacher? You're the teacher of the class. Who wants to go first, kids?
Who wants to go first?
Go ahead. It sounds like you want to go first.
I didn't even write a rating down because I'm still trying to work my way through it.
I never write my rating down.
Sometimes I do.
That's probably why it always takes me so long to come up with it.
So, yeah, I feel like for this movie, I was really bothered by the fact that this teacher spends the whole time just like lambasting this high school student who, has pressure from her mom to do what she needs to get ahead. And I don't know. I just feel like even towards the end of the film, although he acknowledges the fact that he was wrong for rigging and for having the affair, it's like now you're throwing like a milkshake at this ex-student of yours. Like the whole thing just seems so juvenile, and I was like, bro, grow up. Like I just was not a McAllister fan at all. Like I feel like he had no real growth, to your point earlier, and he really bothered me. But on the other hand, there were definitely parts of this movie that I found to be really funny. Like there were just like small things they did, like for instance, the campaign slogans on the posters.
Bruh.
Like Tracy had Pick Flick because her last name was Flick, and then Paul had Paul Metzler, you Betzler,
Bruh.
which makes zero sense.
Amazing.
And then Paul won't drop the ball.
Paul won't drop the ball. Nah, his campaign posters were amazing, bro.
So there are things like that, or like even when Paul is talking about how he was hooking up with Lisa, and he's like, after school we would go to her house for a F and have a hot tub. Like it was just funny at certain points. And I will say, although this movie is I think almost 2 hours long, it didn't really feel like it because from the very beginning, like either your jaw is dropping or you're laughing or you're just like, what? This movie's getting crazier and crazier as it goes on. And there was so much going on that I also feel like being my first time watching it, I'm sure there's things that I didn't catch that I would have to watch again in order to see like background things that I'm sure are happening. It was definitely wild, but it was appropriately rated as an R movie. As far as things that didn't age well, yeah, we had some derogatory terms for lesbians thrown in there. And then there were a couple of bitches thrown in. You had
Pretty much all referring to Tracy.
the principal calls Tammy a bitch.
Oh, that's right. That's right.
Tracy also calls Tammy a bitch. And then when Tracy is praying to a God she doesn't believe in, she ends up calling Lisa a bitch and Tracy a C word. So, I mean, there's a lot going on here with just talking down to women, men talking down about women that I did not like. But when I watch this movie again, I would. I think there's things that I need to see again just to kind of see what I missed. And also, there's a lot of shock value here, but I think it's done in a way for you to question, like I said, the morals and the ethics of the people involved in the film. So I was entertained by it. So I'm giving this one a 3.5.
All right. Yeah, I never seen this movie either. I would say I was tipped off to the fact that it was going to be something surprising,
Sorry.
but I didn't. I had no idea what the surprise was going to be, and I'm like, oh, so we're just automatically going straight to someone sleeping with their student. But I would say that he gets his comeuppance pretty quickly, and they don't censor the movie on that, which I was relieved to see. And yeah, this movie was very funny. Like I laughed out loud multiple times. I thought the characters were interesting. I thought the plot line moved together in a very nice, smooth way. The performances were all very strong. And I feel like based on all those things, I'm actually gonna give it the same score because I also was thinking 3.5.
Okay.
So that's that. We
That's
also
that.
we also asked the Patreon if they had any questions about this movie, and we did get one from Messy Boots number 1, Flip Stickers, and he asked, given today's current political climate, has the film graduated from a dark satire to a dark portent of things to come?
Oh, Lord.
And
Election rigging?
I was thinking about all the things in this movie that relate to different political storylines over the years, from election rigging, recounts, which happened in 2004.
Yeah.
Pedophilia, which is like our entire government.
Sex
right
scandal.
now.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, not just sex scandal, but having sex with children.
But I'm saying in addition to that,
in addition to that,
sex scandals.
Sex scandals.
Yeah.
I mean, what else? Yeah, I would say that it still serves as a dark comedy. I mean, like, I think if you come into this with, like, after, reading the Washington Post or something, like, you might, you might be like, this is a little too much for me. But I think that it still holds up as a dark comedy. I mean, I don't think that the current political climate ruins this movie. It may well serve as kind of a sign of things to come, as he says, but I wouldn't say that it makes it like harder to watch. Maybe not for me.
No. I think it kind of holds a mirror up to what's going on in society.
Yeah.
And so in that sense, it definitely aged very well.
Yeah, actually, that's a good point.
But thanks for that question, Flip Stickers.
Yes, and if we always ask people who are on our Patreon if they have questions that they want us to address on the episode. Obviously, if you're not a Patreon member, then you don't know what movie we're going to cover in advance to ask us questions. But if you have thoughts, questions, or comments on this or any of the other previous films that we have covered, you can always feel free to send those to us, and we'll address them as they come in. You can email us at rewindrewatch1990s@gmail.com. And you can follow us on social media at RR90spod. And you can also, like I said, sign up for our Patreon.
Are you going to sing happy birthday to me? It's my birthday coming up this weekend. Hello? Joel?
No, I heard you.
Hello, are you still there?
I don't know if I'm gonna sing happy birthday to you, but maybe we'll do it, on your actual birthday off air. Maybe we'll do that.
Okay. I thought maybe the listeners wanted to hear your lovely voice. No?
It's not feeling very lovely right now. I just been talking for an hour and a half.
Okay.
So I'm not.
Fair enough.
I'm not at Juilliard standard right now.
I'll allow it.
Yeah, I'll be back to my best.
All right. Do you have any final words? I have a feeling I might know what you're going to say, but do you have any final words?
Fill me up? No, I'm not going to say that. I got a different one.
All right.
Being suspended is like getting a paid vacation. Why do they think it's a punishment? It's like your dog pees on the carpet and you give him a treat.
That's good. I feel like my favorite quote, one of my favorite quotes is when her parents pull her out of school and say they're going to take her to that Catholic school.
Immaculate Heart?
They say, maybe the nuns will straighten you out. And I thought that was hilarious. All right, y'all. See you next week.
Adios.
Later.